Dolly Parton has just spoken out after the unexpected passing of her husband, Carl Dean, who has stayed out of the spotlight for over 50 years. Dolly's words about this loss have stunned fans and the world. What did she reveal about love and loss during this time? Let's explore Dolly's emotional shares during this difficult moment. Dolly Parton has broken her silence following the passing of her husband, Carl Dean, after more than 50 years together. Her words have left the world in shock. Let's explore Dolly's reaction and her deep emotions about her lifelong partner. What do you think of Dolly Parton's words? Leave a comment below the video and join the conversation with us. Carl Dean, the man who has remained in the shadows of Dolly's famous spotlight, is almost invisible to the public. While Dolly Parton embodies glamour, fame, and endless charm, Carl chose a life of separation, away from the curious eyes of the media. They married in 1966, when Dolly began her career in the music industry, and since then Dean has kept himself distanced from the public. There have certainly been speculations about whether this is a real marriage or just a carefully constructed arrangement to protect Dolly's image. Many believe Carl Dean is simply a man who dislikes the spotlight and intentionally avoids public attention. Dolly once spoke about her husband, saying, "He's always been quiet, never interfered with my work, and that's probably why we've lasted so long." A statement both clear and vague, leaving people to wonder if Dean truly loves Dolly and prefers to stay away from the chaos of fame, or if there is a deeper rift between them. Dolly insists that their love is genuine, but there are still skeptics. A marriage lasting for decades, yet this couple rarely appears together, never shares public moments, and avoids major events. Can this be considered normal? Dolly often jokes about her husband's extreme privacy, saying, "If I divorced him, you wouldn't even know because he'd never reveal it." But behind these jokes, could there be a hidden truth? It's possible that Dolly is hiding a reality, that this marriage exists more as an arrangement than a deep emotional connection. Dolly Parton may be one of the most private stars, but that doesn't mean she hasn't dropped hints about cracks in her marriage through her music. If you listen closely to her lyrics, you can piece together a picture of a marriage that's not as perfect as it may seem. One of Dolly's most famous songs, Jolene, expresses the fear of losing her husband to another woman. While the song is often seen as fictional, many believe it reflects a real insecurity in Dolly's life. She once admitted that Jolene was inspired by a red-haired cashier who was overly friendly with Carl Dean. Could beneath Dolly's cheerful, optimistic exterior be a heart that has endured much pain? Songs like To Daddy and Just Because I'm a Woman hint at struggles in her marriage, times of distance, unresolved conflicts, and the emotional burden of living in separate worlds. Dolly has also opened up about feeling lonely despite being married, as she dedicated her life to her career, constantly touring and writing, while Carl Dean preferred a quiet life at home. This fundamental difference may have been what caused them to grow further apart. Dolly once said in an interview, "We've been together so long that we've just accepted each other as we are." But does this acceptance stem from love, or is it simply a way to prevent the collapse of their marriage? One of the most controversial rumors surrounding their relationship is that they may have lived separately for a period of time. While there's no concrete evidence, Dolly's solo appearances at public events, combined with Carl Dean's complete silence, have led many to question the truth behind their relationship. One undeniable truth is that Dolly and Carl live in two completely different worlds. She shines in sparkling sequins on grand stages, while he hides in quiet obscurity. They exist like two celestial bodies orbiting the same system, occasionally intersecting but never fully merging. However, what's noteworthy is that despite the cracks, they have never let their marriage become a public scandal. No messy lawsuits, no shocking revelations, just a silence that has endured for decades. This could be evidence of an unshakable, deep connection, or simply a carefully maintained facade. So, is Dolly Parton's marriage truly a love story, or just a carefully constructed chapter in her legacy? Only she and Carl Dean can know for sure. But one thing is certain. Behind the glittering costumes and larger-than-life image, there are truths hidden that the public may never uncover. If there were an award for the most mysterious husband in Hollywood, no one would deserve it more than Carl Dean, who has been with Dolly Parton for over half a century, but remains almost entirely invisible to the public. In a world where celebrity relationships are scrutinized in every detail, their marriage is a paradox. A dazzling superstar and a man who chooses to live in the shadows. Since marrying in 1966, Carl Dean has rarely been seen alongside Dolly. He doesn't accompany her to award ceremonies, doesn't pose for photos on the glamorous red carpet, and has never publicly commented on their marriage. If it weren't for the occasional mentions by Dolly, many might even doubt Carl Dean's existence. But who is he? Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to stay updated on the latest information about Dolly Parton's life and the surprising revelations following Carl Dean's passing. Born in 1942 in Tennessee, Carl met Dolly when she was just 18, and they quickly fell in love. Their relationship was simple and peaceful, completely opposite to the glamorous world Dolly was about to enter. Carl wasn't a powerful businessman or an influential figure in the entertainment industry. He was just a man who valued a quiet life, working in the transportation industry, and had no interest in his wife's fame. Dolly once described her husband saying, "He's always been the quiet one, never interfered with my work, and that's probably why we've lasted this long." But is Carl's decision to stay out of the spotlight simply a personal preference, or is there something deeper behind this story? Hollywood analyzes every relationship down to the smallest details, and with a huge star like Dolly Parton having a husband almost no one sees, it only fuels curiosity. There have been long-standing rumors that Carl Dean is merely a stand-in, a carefully crafted figure to maintain the image of a married woman, making Dolly's career more stable. Some even speculate that Dean and Dolly have been living separately for years, and their marriage only exists on paper. However, despite all the theories, no one can deny that Carl Dean's absence from the public eye is unusual. The truth is, Carl Dean isn't hiding a dark secret or harboring any animosity towards the media. He simply prefers a quiet life. From the very beginning, he made it clear to Dolly, "I didn't choose this life, I chose you." For him, loving Dolly didn't mean stepping into her world, and perhaps it is this deep respect that has kept their marriage strong for so many years. Dolly has shared that Dean enjoys spending time at their farm away from Hollywood and has no interest in fame. His absence from the spotlight isn't a sign of distance or resentment, but simply his lifestyle choice. A global icon like Dolly Parton could have chosen a partner from the entertainment industry, someone to walk with her on every red carpet. But instead, she chose Carl Dean, someone completely opposite to her. When asked about the secret to their long-lasting marriage, Dolly once joked, "I stay gone." In reality, throughout her career, she has been constantly on the road, while Carl finds contentment in a peaceful life at home. This means they don't spend much time together, which, ironically, may have protected them from the pressures that often cause celebrity marriages to crumble. Dolly Parton has always been a symbol of optimism and joy, but even the brightest stars face their dark moments. One of the most challenging periods in her life came in the 1980s, when rumors of an affair and a shocking scandal almost destroyed everything she had built. For someone who values public image so highly, being involved in a romantic controversy was unacceptable. But what really happened, and how did she overcome it? Whispers began to spread that Dolly had an extramarital affair with a man in the entertainment industry. Some speculated it was a close colleague, while others believed it was a powerful figure behind the scenes. No matter the details, the scandal stirred up the media and threatened to shatter the image of a dedicated and respected artist that she had worked so hard to build. Carl Dean, her mysterious husband, rarely appeared or spoke out, remaining silent throughout the ordeal. His absence only fueled the speculation that their marriage was on the brink of collapse. Years later, when asked about this period, Dolly did not deny that it had a profound impact on her. In her memoir, Dolly, My Life and Other Unfinished Business, she revealed that the scandal pushed her into one of the darkest periods of her life. Known for her strength and resilience, few could imagine that she reached a point of breakdown, even contemplating ending everything. She recalls a night when she stood in front of the mirror, looked at herself, and didn't recognize the person in the reflection. She felt drained, empty. She wrote, "Then I looked down at my gun." Dolly recounts a night when she sat alone holding her gun, thinking it might be easier to just give up. But at that moment, her little dog, a fluffy pup named Popeye, ran into the room and jumped onto her lap. He looked at me with those eyes, and suddenly, I woke up. It felt like God sent him to wake me up, to pull me back to reality. From that moment on, she realized she had to keep going, because there was still so much to do and so many people who loved and needed her. Dolly Parton has never been one to let adversity defeat her. Once she overcame this mental breakdown, she faced the situation with her characteristic strength. She poured all her energy into her work, continuing to produce albums, engaging in charitable activities, and even expanding her business ventures, which helped her overshadow the surrounding scandals. Secondly, she relied on her faith. Raised with strong spiritual values, she believes that everything happens for a reason and every challenge holds a lesson. "If I'm still here today, it means God still has a plan for me," she once said. Most importantly, she maintained close connections with those who truly mattered. Despite the ongoing speculation, Carl Dean remained by her side. Although he is not one to speak often, his quiet presence provided the steady support she needed. Dolly Parton weathered that storm stronger than ever, proving that even when the world doubts you, resilience and self-belief can help you overcome. One thing that has always intrigued people about Dolly Parton and Carl Dean's marriage is the fact that they have no children. In a life filled with music, fame, and love, the absence of children's laughter in their home has always been a topic of endless speculation. But was it fate, or a deeply considered decision? Dolly Parton, with her trademark openness and sincerity, has never shied away from discussing this matter. She has shared that she and Carl didn't have children, not because they didn't want to, but because life simply didn't lead them in that direction. "I guess it just wasn't meant to be," she said softly in an interview. But is it truly just a matter of fate? Or was it a sacrifice made for her career, for love, and for herself? Dolly recalls that in her younger years, she and Carl had considered having children. However, with the hectic schedule of a music star, she was never sure if she could be the kind of mother she had hoped to be. In 1980, Dolly had to undergo surgery due to endometriosis, and the consequences of the surgery left her unable to conceive. It was an incredibly difficult time that led her into a prolonged period of depression. Suddenly, I became a middle-aged woman without children, Dolly remembers. For someone who valued family so deeply, it was not just a physical loss, but also a mental and emotional pain. Carl Dean, her quiet husband, was always there by her side, never expressing disappointment about it. Yet the question remains, would their lives have been different if they had children? To outsiders, a childless marriage may seem incomplete, but for Dolly and Carl, happiness came in a different form. There were no children's laughter, but their life together was filled with deep understanding and love. In many ways, Dolly Parton still played the role of a mother, not to one child, but to countless generations who grew up with her music. She also founded the Imagination Library, a program that provides free books to children across the United States. Carl Dean, although rarely seen in public, has been described by Dolly as a husband who understands her deeply. He never blamed her, never asked for anything. They may not have had children, but they had each other, and that was the most important thing. It's undeniable that for some couples, not having children can bring a sense of loneliness or a feeling that something is missing. But for Dolly and Carl, their bond transcended that. They spent time together in their own way, without the worries of raising a family. Dolly Parton and Carl Dean's life is a testament that happiness isn't solely defined by parenthood. They found joy in their own way, a quiet yet profound love that has lasted through the years. There may not have been the laughter of children, but there were melodies, memories, and a love that stood the test of time. Because sometimes, a home without the sound of children's laughter can still be a home full of love. The relationship between Dolly Parton and Carl Dean has always been a mystery to the public. On one hand, it's a love story that has lasted over half a century, with the country music star shining brightly while her husband stays in the background. On the other hand, rumors about extramarital affairs have lingered for years, a topic Dolly has always skillfully avoided, while Carl has remained silent since the 1980s. Whispers about a close relationship between Dolly and her longtime assistant, Judy Ogle, have led many to speculate that their relationship might not be as simple as it seems. However, Dolly has always stated that Judy is like a sister to her, and one of the people she trusts the most. These rumors never seem to die down. People always ask if Judy and I are lovers, but no, we're just sisters, best friends, she once shared in an interview. Not only has Dolly faced rumors, but Carl Dean has also been the subject of speculation regarding extramarital affairs. However, what's strange is that there is so little information about Carl that nothing can be verified. He almost never appears in public, never gives interviews, and has left nearly no trace throughout their decades-long marriage. The few photos of him are few and far between, so the question arises, do they have an open marriage? Many believe that Dolly and Carl may have had an unspoken agreement, a marriage in name only, allowing each person certain freedoms. In a 2020 interview, when asked about the secret to maintaining their long relationship, Dolly laughed and said, "I always joke that the secret to our marriage is that I stay away from home." A statement that is both playful and serious, leading many to wonder if the distance is what kept them together, or if they've truly been living separate lives for a long time. Despite all the speculation, neither of them has confirmed or denied anything. Dolly is a master storyteller, revealing just enough to pique people's curiosity but never fully disclosing the truth. She once said, "I love to flirt, and I've never met a man I didn't like." A statement that only fueled further curiosity about her romantic life. Does Carl Dean love anyone other than Dolly? Has Dolly ever given her heart to someone other than Carl? No one knows for sure, only they do. And perhaps that mystery is the very thing that has kept their relationship strong and enduring for so many years. When a couple has been married for over 50 years, one might imagine them as an elderly pair, walking together, drinking tea every morning, sharing precious memories, and enjoying their final years together. However, for Dolly Parton and Carl Dean, the reality seems quite different. In recent years, many sources have suggested that they are living almost separate lives. While still legally married, Dolly remains deeply immersed in her career, constantly shining on stage, while Carl chooses a reclusive lifestyle, rarely appearing publicly with his wife. Notably, Dolly has never hidden the fact that they don't spend much time together. She once admitted, "We're completely opposite, but that's what makes life interesting. I never know what he's going to say or do. He always surprises me." But is this stark contrast simply how she describes a relationship that is actually very different, with two completely separate lives? Carl Dean loves tranquility. He spends time at their farm, away from the spotlight and the public eye. It is said that he rarely accompanies Dolly to major events, not because he lacks love for her, but because he prefers to remain private and doesn't want to be the center of attention. Once, when asked why he never joins his wife at events, Carl simply laughed and said, "That's her world, not mine." Meanwhile, Dolly remains an unstoppable force, touring, appearing on television, running businesses and charitable activities, while maintaining an incredibly busy schedule. She once joked, "I may look like a show horse, but I work like a mule." This raises the question, if they spend almost no time together, does love still exist, or is it merely mutual respect and commitment that keeps them together? Rumors have circulated that they no longer live under the same roof, or if they do, they live as strangers under one roof. However, despite everything, they have maintained their marriage vows. Dolly has always referred to Carl as the love of my life, even though after all these years, he remains an enigmatic figure to the public. Perhaps their love is unlike any other, a love that doesn't rely on physical closeness, affectionate gestures, or nightly companionship, but rather on a unique understanding and silent companionship in their own way. It may not adhere to traditional standards of marriage, but it exists in a special form of its own. No matter how many rumors arise, Dolly and Carl remain together, and perhaps for them, what matters is not appearing as a unified couple before the world, but rather making space for each other in their hearts, even if they lead separate lives. One of the defining features of Dolly Parton's legacy is her ability to transform raw emotions into music. Her songs are not just melodies, they carry pieces of her life in every lyric. But if music is where Dolly pours her heart out, how many of her songs are silent whispers about an imperfect marriage? It's impossible to mention Dolly Parton without bringing up Jolene, the iconic song that became a hallmark of her career with its haunting melody and pleading lyrics asking another woman not to take her man. This song has led many to believe that Dolly harbored a deep fear of losing her husband. But is Jolene truly based on real events? Dolly revealed that Jolene was inspired by two women. One was a young girl with bright red hair who asked for her autograph at a concert, and the other was a bank teller who seemed to take a liking to Carl Dean. She had everything I didn't. Long legs, beautiful red hair, and she always flirted with my husband every time he went to the bank, Dolly recalled. However, many believe that this song is not just a simple story, but that its lyrics convey a deep sense of insecurity, as if Dolly truly feared losing the man she loved. And if that's the case, has their marriage ever gone through cracks and wounds that only music could heal? In addition to Jolene, many of Dolly's songs center around themes of loneliness and unspoken emotions. I Will Always Love You, a song that later became a global phenomenon through Whitney Houston's version, is often perceived as a heartfelt farewell letter. Although Dolly has said that the song was written for her longtime collaborator Porter Wagoner, its emotionally charged lyrics have led many to believe it also reflects aspects of her own marriage. Dolly has openly shared her experience of profound loneliness, despite always being surrounded by fame and wealth. She once said, "I need a place to pour out my heart, and music is that place." So could it be that, while always smiling in public, the depths of her soul can only truly be revealed through music? Dolly Parton, with her golden hair and sweet voice, has maintained a marriage lasting over 50 years with Carl Dean. They married in 1966, but for more than half a century, the man behind this music legend has rarely appeared in public. Carl has never appeared on the red carpet or attended events with his wife, while Dolly shines as a star, loved by millions. This relationship has led many to wonder whether it's a fairy tale or just a cleverly crafted business arrangement. She has also admitted that in the 1980s, she went through a period of despair and breakdown, even contemplating ending it all. However, she continued to write, sing, and music became the only means that helped her survive the emotional storms of her life. Rumors about their marriage have circulated for decades. Some speculate that Carl Dean is merely a husband on paper, helping Dolly maintain a certain public image in the music industry, which has always been under scrutiny. One widely discussed theory is that their marriage is actually an unspoken agreement, allowing Dolly to protect her reputation during a time when the music industry was less friendly to single women. However, despite all the speculation, neither Dolly nor Carl has ever confirmed or denied these rumors. Dolly once said, "We're totally opposite, but that's what makes life interesting. I never know what he's going to say or do. He always surprises me." She has always emphasized that their differences are what keep them together, describing Carl as a humorous, down-to-earth man who has no interest in fame. However, some people still find it hard to believe. In one interview, Dolly admitted that Carl doesn't actually care about her music, which only raised further doubts. How could someone who isn't interested in their spouse's career remain loyal for over 50 years? One notable aspect of their relationship is the clear boundary between Dolly the star and Dolly, Carl Dean's wife. Outside of the spotlight, Dolly sets aside the glamour and embraces a simpler role: cooking, taking care of the home, and spending time with her husband. Although Carl Dean is nearly invisible to the public eye, he still plays an important role in Dolly's life. She has shared that he is always the first to hear the songs she writes, whether he likes them or not. This raises an intriguing question. If their marriage was just a contractual arrangement, why have they stayed together for over 5 decades without any major scandals or public conflicts? Perhaps their love is not the passionate flame seen in Hollywood love stories, but a quiet understanding, a lasting friendship that doesn't require grand declarations. Still, the mystery surrounding their marriage remains unsolved. Dolly Parton and Carl Dean have been together for over 50 years, an incredible achievement, especially in an entertainment industry known for its fleeting relationships. But is their relationship really as strong as Dolly claims? Or is it simply a perfect performance that has lasted a lifetime? Dolly has always been an unstoppable force, with her tours, recording, and constant creative projects making her one of the hardest-working women in music history. Meanwhile, Carl Dean has chosen a reclusive life, away from the spotlight. This raises the question, can a marriage survive when the two people live such different lives? Dolly Parton once joked, "I always say, stay away from each other," and there's a lot of truth in that. Many believe that the distance in her marriage to Carl Dean has helped them avoid the stresses that often come with celebrity marriages. Carl doesn't have to bear the expectations of being the husband of a country music star, while Dolly is free to pursue her career without the family struggles faced by other famous couples. Dolly insists that her marriage is not an act, but stories about Carl often lack concrete evidence. Some rumors even suggest that they have lived apart for many years. If that's true, why does Dolly maintain the image of a perfect marriage? Perhaps for her, Carl is not just a husband, but a symbol of loyalty and stability in an industry full of ups and downs. After Carl Dean's passing, Dolly Parton finally spoke out, leaving the world stunned. Despite the great loss, Dolly remained strong and resilient. Their love story, simple yet enduring, proves that true love doesn't need words. Thank you, Dolly and Carl, for sharing a beautiful love that makes us believe in the power of understanding and quietly being there for each other. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and share the video to continue joining us.